Hey everybody, welcome to Bumblin Acres. This is Joseph Simon, and today we are continuing our series over being an apprentice and what is an apprenticeship from an apprentice's perspective. And by design, we're going to go over what you need on your tools, what tools you need specifically preparing for your first day at your first job. So you can come in there and kind of be comfortable and prepared. I had originally intended to do this as I had kind of storyboarded the series, and I had how to literally become a carpenter, and then I was what you need on your tool belt. But necessity is the mother of all invention, and tomorrow I report to a new company. So today I actually had to go to a safety orientation. It was a couple hours of my life going through slideshows, learning how to do things safely. And tomorrow I report to a new job site, to a new employer. And as an apprentice, it's a little stressful. Like, what do I need to bring? Now, I am working for an interior company. So you're thinking metal studs, drywall, but there's a lot in the gamut of things that I need to be prepared to do or could do. So this video is going to be about what I am going to be wearing on my body tomorrow, so that as an apprentice, you are aware of what to bring. It is important that you show up ready to work or in a capability of doing work. So I want to go over the tools that I'm bringing. I actually have laid out my gear. It's not quite a military-esque layout like you normally would see, but it is a layout of what gear is in front of me, and I'm going to go through that gear with you. This next part, we're going to talk about things you need to have on your person. Steel-toed boots, hard hat, 2 pairs of gloves, or a pair of gloves. I always have double of everything, as you can tell. A safety vest. Now, I generally wear a reflective t-shirt that has everything I need, but the vest is in case in the mornings it's cold I'm wearing a jacket. A pair of safety glasses. As you'll see, that's in the middle. That's because I wear prescription. Knee pads. I have 2 of everything because that's a neurotic person I am, but you need and you want to have a pair of knee pads. I'm 38 years old, so I don't need my knees to hurt any more than they already do. Also, you'll see there's 2 face masks. I really don't care how you feel about COVID, and neither does your employer. They will expect you to have a face mask on at all times. The hard hat is significant to me as your employer may provide it, but you should have one. The next part is about tools and what tools you will need in order to be a carpenter apprentice, and what tools I specifically am bringing with me to my job site. I'll go through you'll see my tool belt and the tools that I have. So you've got your submarine level. Honestly, I usually don't carry that on me. That's why I'm not putting it, but you should have one. Tin snips. You're going to use tin snips all the time for all kinds of purposes, but you need a pair of tin snips. Next, your speed square. If you don't have a speed square, you should have 2 of them. So you need a speed square. And if you don't have a tape measure, you're already way behind. You need a tape measure every day. And those are my clamps, which are fighting with me to come out of the pocket they're in, but I have 3 sets of clamps that I bring with me. This is for, especially during metal studs, for holding the metal pieces together. If you're in interior work, you're going to use your clamps a lot and often. I keep the small ones on me, and then I have the big ones available should I need them. Your keyhole saw, that's just drywall. I'm expecting as an interior going to do drywall. Have that. I've got the rasp. It's just a tool for drywall. You may not need that as an apprentice, but I'm going to be prepared. Good pair of pliers like that, the larger size. It's easier to manipulate the pieces of metal you need to cut. Do not forget your handy dandy knife. You will need to have one on your own, and multiple to change out. Drywall dulls those things quickly. Permanent marker. For all intents and purposes, you need some. Pencil, and actually you'll see I carry multiple pencils with me. This is significant because I actually keep the pencil that I'm using in the shirt that I'm using. I don't have them. Those are just my extras throughout the day for inevitably wind up losing some. Cat's paw, that's just for pulling things up. You need that often. You'll use that more than you're proud of. Same there. That's just to help pull things out that I inevitably get stuck where they shouldn't be. And you'll see I'm neurotic about having it in a specific location. Don't forget your handy dandy hammer. You will, I know the last job I was on, I didn't even bring my tools or hammer, but you want to be prepared, and don't forget to have a hammer ready. Chalk box. You will need a chalk box. Don't forget to have one. And earplugs. I have extra earplugs. I'll have a set of earplugs that I'll keep in my shirt, and I'll have one on my tool belt just to make sure if I need good multi-tool, just in case you get in a situation you want a multi-tool. It's just a lot of these are just to make sure in case I need, but it's always good to have double when you can. That's easy. The tool belt, and actually one thing you can't tell is I usually have the suspenders attached to it and a big hook for hanging your tools on. So that's everything I'm going to have in terms of what tools on my tool belt that I will have with me tomorrow morning when my day starts. That being said, I have a rolling toolbox I'm going to bring in as well, and I will utilize that to have like my larger clamps. So I have larger locking clamps. When you're doing metal studs, you'll need those. But I don't really expect to use those tomorrow. And I'm showing up as a beginner apprentice, so I already have experience in just about anything they're going to ask me to do, an interior company's going to ask. There isn't anything I think they're going to leave me on by myself, so I just want to make sure I'm comfortable, and that needs to be the goal as for you as an apprentice, especially day one apprentice where you just don't have any experience. You need to bring in a tool belt, have a tool belt, okay? Go buy a cheap tool belt. Don't spend a lot of money on one, because it's a guarantee that in 6 months when you have the experience, or even in 2 months when you have experience, you're going to be able to get a tool belt that's a little more comfortable for you. So don't spend a lot of money on a tool belt, but you need a tool belt. As I've probably said multiple times in this video, have a hard hat. The company I'm working for, I just got their safety, provides their own hard hats, and by rules, you could interpret OSHA to mean that an employer is supposed to provide a hard hat to you. It doesn't always the case, and if you show up your first day on a construction site without a hard hat, they can send you home. And if you show up without a hard hat, even if they have one, you don't want to be on the radar as the apprentice that needs. You want to be the apprentice that doesn't know, not the apprentice that doesn't have. That's the difference. So, more important than the tools that you bring with you, it's important your attitude is right your first day when you show up. So you can have all the tools in the world, but you have to recognize you're first as an apprentice, especially as a brand spanking new apprentice, you're a laborer. You're a glorified laborer, but you're a laborer. So you're going to be the one that has to pick things up, move things, carry things, move things from one thing to another. A journeyman's not going to do it if they don't have to. And they don't have to with you there. You're the apprentice. Know how to read a measuring tape. Be familiar with it. Know what the ticks on a measuring tape mean. There's videos you can watch that break down. If you don't know how to read a tape measure, don't have your first day of work be the first time you've read a tape measure. It will be, there's going to be a huge difference between familiar and working. So I have a familiar knowledge with a tape measure before I became an apprentice, showed up on the first day. So I knew halves, quarters, things of that nature. I hadn't measured to an eighth in ever. Surely still, and I haven't measured to a 16th often, because in the interior company, which is most of my experience, you don't measure things that deep for the most part. But if you do not know how to read a tape measure, spend some time getting familiar with a tape measure before you show up. You show up your first day unable to read a tape measure, and it just looks bad. You want to avoid that. Like I said, you want to be the apprentice that needs guidance, not the apprentice that needs everything. So. But that's everything. I feel comfortable going to work tomorrow. I'm sure it will be most of the time you'll show up, you'll clock in, sign some paperwork. You're gonna have to get sign off for COVID testing, get your temperature taken, and everything else. And I'll be assigned to a journeyman doing a task, and me and that journeyman will work together all that day. Usually they don't rotate apprentices for different journeymen in the same day. It's one, you work with that person all day. I don't know where they are in the project I'm going to, so I don't know if I'm going to be doing metal framing. I don't know if I'm going to be drywall hanging. I don't know. We'll see. So that's what my day tomorrow will entail. So appreciate y'all watching the video. I hope it helps. I hope if you're an apprentice, looking at being an apprentice, and you've got that first day tomorrow, that everything I've presented helps you. If you have any questions about what I've presented, feel free to message, let me know. Once again, this is an apprentice guide to being an apprentice. So And a journeyman may recommend you have other things, and I'm not in a position to argue with them, nor would I. But this is what I'm bringing as an apprentice, and this is what has been expected of me as an apprentice. So let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.